Hi, welcome to The Buzz, Midwest Underground Business Voice. My name is Tony Salza. We're here in Louisville, Kentucky at Creative Work Studio. Awesome place here, isn't it?
It's great. We bring our clients here all the time.
Yeah, I get Deanna Philpott with People Strategy Consulting.
Correct.
Now, I think I know, but in consulting, it's always dangerous to make an assumption. What is People Strategy Consulting? What do you guys do?
Well, People Strategy Consulting works on the people side of the business, and really what we do is focus in on engaging people, and the employees of the organization, and working with the leadership, such as, I think a couple of core competencies we have is around change management, when there's a leadership change, second stage entrepreneur company, now they need systems and processes. And then the other thing we do very well is we actually work with talent development, and the culture all starts with the leadership.
Yeah, amen. So I want to go back through some of those change management things you said, because I want to make sure everybody out there understands it.
Okay.
You said second generation entrepreneurship, and I'm there, so I think I know. Is that when the guy who started the company probably doesn't have the business acumen he or she needs in order to get it to the next level?
I think so. We talk about going from a mom and pop shop to now we're at 150, 250, 500 employees, and we actually need some real formal processes in place, particularly on the people side of it. But I must tell you, Tony, we also work with very large organizations, acquisitions and mergers, and usually what ends those deals are the merging of two cultures.
Yeah.
So defining exactly what the change is very critical.
Yeah. Culture is so important to get right, so important to design, but also so overwhelming if you don't have a plan to get to, like you said, merge. I mean, if you don't understand the DNA of both organizations, trying to create a merger to happen just because it looks good on paper could actually kill both companies. Right. Isn't that true? It's
true, and if you have more than one leadership philosophy, we were working with a company where they actually merged, and one was a marketing-driven company, and the other one was an operations-driven company. So now the question becomes, what is the new culture?
Yeah.
So that's why we usually work with the senior leaderships of companies to define exactly what the issue is. And it's very much tied to their strategy, because they're very good sometimes, senior leaders, in developing strategy, but the execution goes down to the people level.
Amen. Amen. So what would you say your ideal client looks like?
That's a good question.
Is it that manufacturing base? Is it the Rust Belt? Is it more those? Is it breakthrough companies where are you finding type of companies you want to replicate?
I think what we're finding is companies that are in a growth mode, and even in this economy, there are some that are in a growth mode.
Sure.
And I think that because of the growth mode, they've got to make some changes in their organization. Sometimes it's driven by the external market, their competition, and they've got to change their business model. So that would be an ideal client. Another ideal client would be acquisition and mergers, when they're putting together and they've got to do a talent audit to find out, who do we keep and put in what position. That's an important piece. So usually these companies are in sales, they're, in revenues, they're probably 10 million plus, because what we're dealing with impacts the entire organization. So it's not
they've hit at least
budget.
Enterprise level. I mean,
they do. That's a good way
they've got more than 50 to 100 employees. They've got roles. There's not a whole lot of people wearing more than one hats, but they're still in that space where they're looking to maybe break through. Right?
I think that's it. I think breakthrough is a really good word. And so it really boils down to the leadership, which is where we end up working, because they're the ones that really have to lead their employees through the change model. So
I would try, one of the great bridges, and this really goes back to how Rainmakers got started, is we were a lot of B2B business to business companies that sold into bigger businesses, and I got more than one good strategic connection from an HR consultant. And I had several staffing companies that would call me in when there was a culture change. I actually had a company called Culture Drive.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and so I really, we worked on a lot of that, and I was able to pass business back to marketing because we would create new initiatives, back to sales because there would be a new sales initiative, and they would need those expertise. And I think surrounding yourself with people that are needed during that event is a great way to think about how to shape your strategic relationships. Business lawyer can be one of the best strategic relationships you put in place. Accountants know that there's some cultural changes there because it shows up in the bottom line eventually,
yeah, it does.
right?
Absolutely.
And so those events are really there's a lot of other players that are there that are looking at it, and if you align yourself with them along the way, you can really create some good, they're with the bigger companies, it take a little longer to gestate, but the deals are bigger. So it works out that way.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So what is the one thing you would like to leave, everybody out there on the web, what's the one thing you think people need to do in leadership to really evolve and understand how to get a grasp on their culture right now?
That's a good question. We always say that the doorway to leadership is self-awareness. And sometimes I met with a leader this morning who is the executive director of a very large metropolitan company, and he got it. That's what we say. He gets it. He understands that in order to implement the strategy I need to have everybody on board.
Yep.
So I think that you have to stop and ask yourself as a leader, do I really get it? About while all of these ideas are in my head, because that's where all businesses started. With entrepreneurs, they had an idea. They can't do it by themselves.
Yep.
And so to engage the people is real important. And I think, there are obviously different styles of leadership, everything from autocratic to servant leader, and we know what works.
Yeah.
So, I think doing a very thorough and full assessment about what your organizational culture is now and what you want it to be ideally in the future.
And how to cross that gap.
That's important.
You said it, self-awareness is the beginning, right?
It is. It truly is.
I mean, if you're not willing to take that first step, it just doesn't happen.
That's right. It does.
Deanna Philpott, you've been blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you.